Father, we praise you, we thank you for the glories of your holy resurrection, and we thank you for the time in this word, and may it be for us real sustenance that we can get through these harrowing hours that we're now facing, with everything being hacked and doing Social Security numbers, and help us, protect us, Lord, and protect us for that we be ready for your coming. But this is even beyond your coming. This is when we're with you forever. So may we know the text, may we enjoy it in Jesus' precious name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. This Tuesday, an interesting sighting is going to be happening. Never before in anyone's lifetime could we have imagined this. We're going to get Tuesday, well, by the time it gets back to us, it'll be Wednesday. We're going to get the first time ever pictures of Pluto. We're going to see what it looks like. Okay, so pictures are Tuesday they're going to be taken, and it takes one day for it to beam across the light years into the United States. So we're going to, for the first time ever. But I say that because when you look at this, everything is going to be brand new. Everything's going to be brand new, okay? So don't ever get discouraged about things falling apart, fish dying. Right now, on our ecological system, we can't be sustained much longer. Jesus is coming. And I was just talking to a young man today. He's about 16. I said, I don't think you're going to live to see your grandfather days. Jesus really is coming soon. I said, I'm checking 5 reports. Report number 1 are the Jews, and the Jews just said last week, Messiah is imminent. Catholics, talk to people from EWTN as I do conference with them, we can't go on much longer, they're saying. Protestant evangelicals, they believe the rapture is tomorrow morning. Orthodox Jews are saying there's visions in the caves of Elijah. And remember I just told you about that vision? It already started, by the way. They're bombing the Sinai now. 100 people just died. And so they're lobbing bombs. So it's a really exciting day. We're living it, isn't it? So I said to this young man, I said, I don't think you'll be a great father. Well, you got me scared. I'm not going to sleep tonight. I said, sleep. You'll be okay. She said, aren't you worried? I said, no. No. I live for the moment to glorify God, and with the best I can to get this word out to people. But you got to know, because when you do funeral parlors and everything else, like I said, you have the weirdest ideas that we become angels, right? You ever hear that when they don't become angel. And probably the idea I want to correct above all is the idea that because you're good, you go to heaven. No. You need a living relationship with Jesus Christ. And I never really hear that. I never really hear that. For the first time ever, I don't like all these eulogies that they allow at church. I'm not the boss, so I can't have a squelch on that. But for the first time ever, I heard one person say yesterday, they had a relationship. This person in the box had a relationship with Jesus Christ. Finally, I heard somebody mention Jesus instead of putting up a little phone thing on your cell phone. And my father really loved, I did it my way, like, Frank Sinatra music. And so guess what the last part of the eulogy was? The cell phone was singing, I did it my way. And I'm like, if he did, cooker, baby, cooker. So, the word resurrection means to what? Stand up. Now, everyone, did I say everyone? Everyone who lived, is living, or will live, will go through a resurrection. If you die with your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ and really walking with Him, you will get His body. 1 John chapter 3, 1 to 3. But if you die not part of, not walking for Him, you'll get the body of corruption. So what we're dealing with is corruption, corruptibility, and combined with corruptibility is ultimately hell, versus incorruptibility. Now, just to remind us that when we die, we are all going to be there together afterwards. There's going to be a general resurrection. Everybody's going to be there. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. You're going to see Matthew 25, 41 and following. You're going to see the separation of the sheep and the goats. You're going to see people that you knew. You're going to know you're going to know and God forbid, it may be that some of the last times you see them, if you and I are ushered into glory through faith in Jesus Christ. Everybody have a living faith in Christ?
Yes.
And that'll be the last time you cry. And you look and you say, and that person will not be saved. So at that moment you will cry. That's the last time you'll cry. And then, Lord willing, we're all redeemed through a living relationship with Jesus. Well done, good and faithful servant. We get our brand new bodies and we'll never cry again. What about the people that we lost? You won't remember them anymore. So they'll be gone forever. Because they didn't give their heart to the living Lord Jesus Christ. And that's why there's a sense of urgency. So this last section on the resurrection, everything gets newness. Okay? And chapter 15, 1 Corinthians 15, verse 35. But someone will ask, how are the dead raised? With what kind of body do they come? So Paul's now going to go through everybody's body. Okay? Everybody, now we know that there's only one body that's really worth mentioning. Not yours. Not mine. Jesus' body. In John 11:25, Jesus says to us, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever dies believing in me will live forever. So that time you get your brand new body. Yes, ma'am?
What
Yes, ma'am.
happens to the souls, all the souls in purgatory?
Purgatory is closed.
When Jesus comes?
If the second coming were right now, there's no more purgatory. It's over. If there's going to be people alive when Jesus comes, which we're going to get into at the end of this section. When Jesus comes in the second coming, would that be tonight? And the roof blows off and there he is. You and I wouldn't go to purgatory. It would be caught up in the air. You see, in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, the Protestants call it the rapture. Have you ever heard the rapture before? Have you ever heard the rapture?
Yes.
Now, the Protestant evangelical understanding of the rapture, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, first the Bible says that the dead are going to raise. Okay, so the Catholics believe that. So if Jesus were to come right now, everyone who is dead, their bodies will go up because there's going to be what is called a general resurrection. Again, we're all going to be there. Every human being will be there. And if you have not lived for Christ, this is your last moment of, before you're cast into hell forever. So that's kind of a scary scenario. But the rapture is the idea that it's going to get so bad, and they're already preaching it all over the place. Very heavy detail. They're preaching the rapture now. And what will happen is these people who are Christians go to be with God. And then it's going to get so bad here, there's going to be utter chaos. And then in Revelation 7, the last remaining people to be redeemed, the Jews will find faith in Jesus. Do Catholics believe that the Jews will find faith in Jesus? Yes. Okay. There's only 3% of the Jews practicing their faith. So if you do the math right now, 14 million, 3% of them actually are practicing the faith. That's not a whole lot of people worldwide. Every time I go to the flying planes, I see Jewish people there. I think maybe that's the 3% right there practicing the faith.
What about the Muslims?
Okay, and what will happen then is they will announce the last time the gospel. And when they announce the gospel, there will be, after the rapture, there will be people who will be saved. That'll be the last. Now, Catholics believe that there's going to be an intensity of world evangelism. There's going to be an intensity of martyrdom and world evangelism. Right now, we're seeing an incredible intensity of martyrdom. Every 11 minutes, a person dies for Jesus. Every 11. And I believe that's going to be halved very soon. I mean, every minute there's going to be somebody dying for Jesus. I believe personally it's going to reach the shores of the United States momentarily. That we're going to have our day in Court, so because we have become very evil and vile, especially what just happened with the Supreme Court. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. That's not the Catholic view. The Catholic view is we're going to see martyrdom, we're going to see world evangelism. 1 Thessalonians 4, the dead will rise. But the Catholic view is that Paul was referring to the end of time. So when Jesus comes, there will be those of us who will be alive. And when we are alive, we won't die. And then we'll be taken up. And so that's what I call the understanding of the Catholic rapture. So, so at that time, there will be no more purgatory. Yes? Next question.
What about the Muslim people?
What's your question about them?
Will they be converted also to that?
Yes. Yes. God is working overtime on that, especially through dreams. Many Muslims will come to faith, and they are coming in droves to faith in Jesus Christ right now. Because though, with all the sanctions going on in Iran, they're finding Islam is very empty inside, and they're coming in droves. Aren't you excited? Yes. God is good. But I'm concerned about the people in these pews here, because when I see them on Sunday, they don't get it. You know, they still leave church early, and if you talk to them basically about a living faith in Jesus, they can't articulate that. They're just going through kind of a robotic. So that's my personal concern. So how will the dead be raised? With what kind of body do they come? So we're all getting brand new bodies. Now, you can't wait? Okay, the good news, these bodies will not go to heaven. Okay? Anybody happy about that?
Yes.
Anybody want a brand new body right about now?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So, the answer to the question, what kind of bodies we're going to get spiritual bodies. Now, but those spiritual bodies that we will have, they're going to be, we're going to find out right now, there's no limits to it. And when we look at a spiritual body, we looked at Jesus. Remember, he didn't knock on the door on Resurrection Sunday. What did he do? He walked right through. And so what's going to happen to you and me? We're going to get spiritual bodies. There'll be no limits. There'll be nothing to block us. So you're going to have a spiritual body, and with that spiritual body, you're going to the banquet of the Lamb. So there will be food. There will be only one day that will never end. You will be, in John chapter 14, you'll be in the mansion next to the Abba Father. I don't know how God's going to do it. It's going to be way beyond my thinking right now. But we're all going to be together. Will you know yourself? Yeah. Will you know each other? Yeah. Will you know you're you? Yeah. You're going to say, Avon, you got your name changed finally. Okay? So, because, by the way, you do get brand new names, Revelation 2:16 and 17. You're going to get a name that reflects Jesus' relationship to you, because you're the only person that has that relationship with Jesus. I don't have your relationship with Jesus. I don't talk to him as you talk to him. I don't pray to him as you pray to him. I don't know what you know about Jesus than what I know about Jesus. And don't be fooled. Don't say, well, you know more about Jesus than I do. Not necessarily. Because the people who know about Jesus are the people who are living for him. Not only the knowledge upstairs. So what kind of body we have? If you look at verse 36, you foolish man, which I like the word moron, what you sow does not come to life unless it dies. So again, John chapter 12, there's the sower and the seed. Right? Remember that? That you've got to take a seed. Okay? The seed, and it's got to be a seed of incorruptibility. 1 Peter chapter 1 says we all got to have seeds of incorruptibility. Do you all have the seed of incorruptibility? Now the Catholic Church teaches that when you were baptized, you all have the seed inside of you. The Catholic Church teaches when you made your confirmation, you have another seed inside you. The Catholic Church teaches when you're ordained, you have another seed inside you. So these are the seeds that have to be buried, but by you feeding your seed and getting the proper nourishment of that seed, it breaks forth and it's Jesus as it bears 30, 60, and 100-fold. So you can see there, verse 37, and what you sow is not the body which is to be, but a bare kernel, because what do you got to do with the body? You see, when they put Jesus' body in the ground, the ground couldn't contain Jesus' body, because he's totally holy, total deity, totally pure, totally God from God, light from light, true God from true God. So when Jesus' body was placed in the ground, so to speak, even though it was above ground, but guess what happened? There was an earthquake. How do you say earthquake in Greek? Seismos. Because it shook. So notice there was two earthquakes. Good Friday, because he died. Why? Because the light of the world went out. Do you know there was no light in the world for 3 straight days? When he lay in it, there was no light. Oh, there was the sun, but no light in human hearts.
Oh, okay.
What happened to the apostles? Were they in the light? No. What were they doing? They were hiding. They were in the dark. Except Catholics would say the Blessed Virgin Mary. Thomas was in the dark.
He wasn't in the room though. So
He wasn't in the room, but he was living in darkness. He was living in doubt. Now, I've never heard anybody preach on this ever. On the earthquakes. You ever hear anybody preach on the earthquakes?
No.
And all the times that you hear Easter, never heard him mention the earthquakes. And I never heard them say, when Jesus says, you know, when the lights went out. Never heard anybody preach on it. Never. Never heard anybody mention it. Amen? So, what's going to happen to us? Look at verse 37. But a bare kernel, perhaps of wheat or some other grain. Now, if you underline there, why does Paul mention the wheat? Now, when Jesus made the bread, remember the multiplication of the loaves in John chapter 6? When Jesus mentioned the loaves, it was barley. It was barley bread, because it was the bread of the poor, extreme poor. But here it's the bread of the wheat. And when John chapter 12 says that the seed's got to die. So what do we hear off in the parable of the wheat? Right? Because why do I have the wheat? Because the wheat looks like it sways, but what does it look like? It looks like the tares. It looks like the weeds. You know, wheat and weeds look the same. But right now, what does God say? The angels at the end of time are going to take the wheat. Because guess what's going to happen? You don't know who's who right now. So we're going to see that, and we're going to see the wheat or some other verse 38. But God gives it a body as He has chosen. So everybody's going to get their body. So everybody, you can write, we're all going to be resurrected. Everybody. This is called the general resurrection of the dead. And that's mentioned in John chapter 5. If you make a left, go to John chapter 5. I've been making reference to it a lot of times. Go to John chapter 5. We're all going to be resurrected. And remember, you do not get a second chance. Does everybody know that? How many times do you get to live?
Once.
You do not have a do-over. You do not have, after you die, there's no more mercy on you. Amen? Does everybody know that? I hear a lot of people say, oh, you know, God will give me another. Today's the day of salvation. He didn't say tomorrow. He didn't say, see, if there was a lot of chances, if God said that, I wouldn't have to do this. I mean, I told you, a Greek Orthodox priest said, why don't you come and join us? And I said, can I get married? And you know what I just discovered with him? I could divorce 3 times. So if I don't like it, I can pick up another one. I don't like it, I can pick up another one. I don't like it, pick up another one. So I said, no thanks. I like stability. And if you go to John 5, who wrote John? John, very good. I answer my own questions, so we stay happy. If you go to John chapter 5, if you go all the way down to verse number 21, as the Father raises the dead and gives them life, I say life, Zoe, Z-O-E. So also will the Son give life to whom He wills. Is Jesus going to give you life? The Father judges no one, but has given all the judgment to the Son. So who's going to be your ultimate judge? Jesus. That's why when we stand in front of God, there's an interesting scripture that says right now the Holy Spirit is your advocate, 1 John chapter 2. But at the end of time, as soon as you die, the Holy Spirit's not your lawyer anymore. Jesus is. Because he's going to do what? He's going to judge you. When do you get judged? Instantly. Instantly. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. Instantly. Instantly you know whether you're going to heaven or you're going to hell. Instantly. And if you're hell-bound right now, for all the people who've died today, by the way, if you're interested, 55,000 people died every day. Around the world. Every day, 55,000 people have just died today.
Wow.
Every single day, 55,000 people died. 55,000 people died. 55,000 people died every single day. Okay, so that's a lot of people know their eternal destiny right now. He says to us, John 5, and that all may honor the Son even as they honor the Father. So who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. Truly I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me, do you all believe?
Yes.
Has eternal life. But he does not come into judgment. So we don't have to go through this judgment. We have passed from death into life. Verse 25. Here's the, this now is what is called the general resurrection. Okay? This is, again, you don't hear general resurrection preached hardly at all. Right? Did you ever hear it in your life? Anybody ever preach to you the general resurrection? He says to us, verse 25, truly, truly. So Jesus is giving a very solemn, I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear it will live. So the dead. Now, the Holy Spirit showed me that there's only one part of Jesus' emaciated body that wasn't destroyed, so to speak. That was his voice. Because what happened when he got his brand new body, his fully resurrected body, Mary Magdalene knew his voice. So his voice did not change. Okay? So how many know your voice is not going to change? Can you imagine, read it, you're going to hear Brother Paul, that voice. All right. And all who are in the tombs will hear his voice, underline verse 28, verse 29, that come forth those who have done good to the resurrection of life, underline that. There's the general resurrection. So we will have the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of judgment. Where God will say, I don't know you. So there's the resurrection. So everybody's going to be resurrected. Everybody. Any questions? Good stuff? All right, back with me to 1 Corinthians.
Now, do the angels have spiritual bodies?
Do the angels have solidly spiritual bodies? Yes. But see, they cannot be resurrected. A third of them are already damned.
Yes, but they won't listen.
Yes, they're already dead. And as far as I understand, they're not being newly reproduced. All the angels were made before we were created. Psalm 8, Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, and they were already there. They're already assigned for every human being here has an angel by you right now. Because even if you're not a redeemed Christian, because if you didn't have that, if you didn't have an angel by you right now, what would happen to you? You'd be snuffed out. Because the evil one would want you destroyed before you even could hear the gospel and turn from him. So each day that a person is living, it's because a reason is because there's an angel by their side. But there's going to be a time when you and I increase in our evil, that God will, as 2 Thessalonians 2 says, God will pull away the restraining. And when that restraining is gone, evil can knock you out. And a lot of people are ending their life absolutely terribly. So God, verse 38, gives a body as he has chosen to each kind its seed. So what's your seed? Everybody here have the seed of life or the seed of corruption. So what's your seed? Is it corruptibility? So how many would like to go on your body, go on the ground, and get it back again? Anybody want your same body back again?
No.
Imagine if you died at 95 looking like a prone. You don't want to be a prone in glory, right?
Imagine raising God.
No matter, even if you look like Jack LaLanne in his health spa. You know, there's a wonderful man who became a priest, and he just became a priest, and he is so huge like this. Not fat, I mean, he's like Joe Muscle.
Stop
No, he goes to the gym every day, and I'm just saying, all right, he's in his 30s, he's like second half of his 30s, and he's huge, huge. I'm just saying to myself, how do you maintain that? How do you maintain that when you're 40, when you're 50, 60, and 70? I mean, if you have all this mass here, what happens to it? I'm just saying, I mean, when you're 60, maybe your gym days are over a little bit, but how is he going to maintain that? My thing is he's going to have to lose weight and just kind of, I mean, how do you maintain that? I mean, he's massive up here, and I said, no. He can't catch the babes anymore. He's a priest, so I think get that such. So what's going to happen to us? We're all going to get brand new bodies. Now, look at verse number 38. To each kind its seed in its own body. What does Paul mean that? There's a seed. There's a seed. You have a seed of corruption or incorruptibility. What does this mean? If you have faith in the Lord, you're living your faith, you're going to see the incorruptibility. The seeds in the ground, what will happen for life? If you're living into corruption, sin, and pornography, and lust, and greed, and everything else, you have a way of corruptibility. I remember one day a man said to me, he's going into church, and I said, hey, how's it going? He's 75 years old, and he said, you know, Father Bill, I got to go in here. And I said, oh, good, it's good seeing you in there. And he says, my life has been terrible. I need to change my life. I said, I'm glad we're changing it at the age of 75. Today is the day of salvation, yes.
Oh, I had a question going back to your citation of Psalm 8 about Psalm 8 said that the...
Made lower than the angels.
Yeah, but isn't there another citation that at some point they become higher?
No.
No. Okay.
They're higher than us now. Lord willing, when we all go to heaven one day, we'll be higher than they are.
Okay, that's what I was... Okay.
We'll be higher than angels. Because we are fully redeemed by Christ. An angel can't receive communion. An angel is just in awe of us. And they must look at us like, these people down here, they don't get it, do they? They don't get who Jesus is. Amen? For not all flesh is... Pardon?
Satan left because he didn't want to.
Yes. For what, not all flesh is alike, but there's one kind for men. So, I mean, everybody has their different flesh. Now, remember there's two parts that kind of war with each other. And the reason why we have difficulty living a spiritual life, anybody have difficulty living a spiritual life sometimes? Anybody have a difficult time praying your hour a day, your 2 hours a day, your 3 hours a day? Everybody praying 3 hours a day? Great, that's wonderful. I just saw a flash of lightning around some of you here, right? The reason why is that you and I have difficulty. I know I do, because as I get over, my body starts to conk out a little more. Because the word for flesh is sarx. Everybody say sarx.
Sarx.
The word for spirit is pneuma. Now, these two live inside of us. The sarx is your flesh, the pneuma is your spirit. And guess what? They can't stand each other. So what does your eyes want to do? What does your spirit say? Don't go there. What does your stomach want to do? What does your spirit say? Don't go there. Who wins all the time? Who wins is the part that you feed. Now watch this. The sarx, the flesh, lives in the same place with the spirit, and they catch each other's cold. You are strong what you feed. So if you're on cell phones all day and internet, you're living in the flesh. The spirit won't win on you. You're so caught up. And by the way, this is the section of preoccupations, what we call it worry. It's right here. right? Do you think the person in heaven right now is worried?
No.
So the sarx is next to the pneuma, and again, that's what do we want? Corruptibility or incorruptibility? Now, when we get resurrected to corruptibility, you're going to hurt forever. I need incorruptibility. Now, look what he says in verse 39. For all flesh is not alike. So, what does he mean there by all flesh? All the different grades of creation. We're not all alike, are we? My brother just spent $6,000 on getting his dog. Had gallbladder. And I said, $6,000. They got you over a barrel there. And I said to him, how did you pay for it? Out of my curiosity. He said, a credit card. For an animal, 6,000 American pesos. Woo. And so I think he's kind of telling me he really didn't have the money for $6,000, but he loves that dog, you know. So, okay, 6,000. So everyone has their different levels of creation. So verse 39, not all flesh is alike, but there's one kind for men. Okay. Now, there's always anybody have pets? Okay.
Yes.
And there's always the question: is there a heaven for them? Oh, wait a minute. To go to heaven, and to go to heaven, you go back to, are they a good pet? Do they lick you a lot? And everything else. Okay. And so there's a lot of. By the way, the Pope did not say they go to heaven. He did not say that. Okay. The whole idea is that we are spirit, soul, and body. 1 Thessalonians 5:23. Now what's going to happen to this body? How do you say body again? Sema. What's going to happen to your sema, everybody? It's going to die. Unless you and I are the men and women who see him and then get raised up. Your soul is and that's called a suke. Your soul is called your thinking. Guess what you're going to do forever and ever? Always think. I go nuts when I hear this expression. Clear your mind. I said, how can I clear my mind? Stop thinking. How can I stop thinking? Because I'll start saying, what does stop thinking mean? You can't. So this is eternal inside of us. So you will always be thinking. Wherever you spend your eternity, you're always going to think while you're there. So what's going to be the greatest torture?
Not being there.
Yeah. So this goes in the ground, and the spirit, the pneuma, is where God created us inside of our mother's womb. When he put in spirit, soul, and body. Spirit, soul, and body. I love my little grandnephew. I held him for one straight hour. I was teaching him how to make the sign of the cross already. He woke up and he says, hello, great Uncle Bill. I said, hello, kid. How's it going? I haven't baptized him yet, so I hope to do that. But I realize he's a precious soul. So now everybody's going to get it. Look at verse 39. There's one kind for men. Now, here's where if you have an animal, do they have a spirit? No. But you act like they do. They don't have a spirit. Do they have a soul? Yeah. Do they have a body? Yeah. And the body goes, like when I drive 287 all the time, guess what? There's a lot of dead animals there. Did they go to deer heaven? Did you ever have a turkey dinner? Did they go to turkey heaven? Well, the dogs are different. They go to dog heaven. So each person and thing has a different sarx. But this is our complete sarx. 1 Thessalonians 5:23. So Paul says here, and he's really spelling it out for us. Well, here's our answer so I don't upset people. All right, if you put me in the corner, I'll say no.
But the Garden of Eden is in
But here's how we're answering it now. You want to hear a nice answer?
No, the truth.
Well, I'll give you the nice answer first. Here's the nice answer. The nice answer is, heaven is phenomenal, and there's going to be lots of treats, and God's going to, and lots of creatures, and the beauty and everything else. So it kind of says, oh, that's a nice answer. But if you put me in the corner, no. When your cat dies, it just goes away with you. Okay? Did you ever have a fish dinner? Nobody had a fish dinner? You ever have a lobster?
Yeah.
Do you know your refrigerator is a graveyard?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's one way to put it.
Okay?
The
It's a
freezer
graveyard.
more. The freezer more.
We're all going to become vegetarians after this talk here. So there are different levels. Our sarx is the highest because this is where we're made. So there's different, and so now Paul gives us the whole list. And notice he goes down to creation. So what do you hear in the whole sense here? This is new creation. So look at verse 39. One kind for man, another kind for animals, another kind for birds, another kind for fish. There are celestial bodies and there are terrestrial bodies. So what's a celestial body? All the planets that they see up there. By the way, last week was the Star of Bethlehem in appearance. Did you all go out and see it?
No.
And it's not coming back to 2023, so maybe some of us will be home with God by then, right? Some of you will definitely be home with God. I'm looking at you right now. Goodbye. So anyway, there's a celestial body. There's an order of terrestrial bodies, but the glory of the celestial is one. Now, the word for glory. How do you say glory in Greek? Anybody remember?
Soda.
Doxa. Doxa, D-O-X-A. Now, what's the glory? The glory is a reflection of God. St. Anselm once said, those of us fully alive are the glory of God. The glory of God shines through us when we live in sacramental graces and the mercy of Jesus. Amen? So everything has a glory about it. We love our little puppy dogs. We love the beautiful owls on the zoo. So there's even, you can see God's creation. So that's the sense of dogs. But you and I, Psalm 8 again, you and I are at the top of the creation. So when I get my resurrected body, you get your resurrected body. Please God, all of us are redeemed. We're going to fully, are you ready for this? When you go to heaven, you're going to fully reflect Jesus. In fact, John the Revelator in chapter 19 became so overcome with an angel that he saw, he started to kneel down to her. And the angel screamed out and said, don't do that. I'm only a creature like you. But John said, you look so good. You look like God. And when the Magi came in, Matthew 2:11, they worshiped Jesus. And you know why we know the Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong? Because nobody stopped them from worshiping. Matthew 2:11, they prostrated themselves. And that's the ultimate act. Did you ever worship God that way?
Yes.
So when we look at the creation, all creation glorifies God. Let me show you a passage. Are you getting this? This is really rich, isn't it? If you make a left and go with me, we may have to come back next week and do another session. If you bring more people, we can keep going. Go with me to chapter 8 of Romans.
Which one?
Romans chapter 8. We're talking about the glory, all the different levels of glory. This is good stuff, isn't it? I've never done this series on the resurrection. Everybody with me? Chapter 8, verse 18. Chapter 8, verse 18. I consider the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory. That's the word doxa, D-O-X-A, that is to be revealed in us. My heavens, when we see what's coming for us, you know what we're going to say? Even though you and I don't say it now. Is that all I had to go through down there to see this? Wow! You know what we would say? I'd do it all over again. Thank God you're only going to do it once, but... And if Jesus could do it all over again and die all over and to get us, but die once was sufficient. When we see what we're going to get, when we see where we're going to live, when we see the almighty power of God, we're going to go, wow. And down there I had a struggle, I had aches and the pains, I had difficulty with my job, difficulty with my kids. That's all I had to go through? Isn't it amazing you're going to say that? But now look at us. Hear what you're saying. How's your life? I know, hanging in there. Oh. Anybody hear that record before? Or I'm old-fashioned. That CD? Or the MP or whatever else. Anybody ever hear that? Then he says this. For the creation, if you underline that in verse 19, the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. Hello? Hello? Oh, this is really good. What does creation do? Creation. See the trees out there?
Yeah.
And when I was driving out last week, I saw a deer just shoot through. I said, look, you stay in there. I don't want to hit you. I met your brother one day. I don't like him. He's dead now. What are they waiting? All of creation, if you have dogs and whatever, all of creation is waiting that you and I be revealed as sons and daughters of God. That you and I get the majesty of God. You and I get our brand new resurrected bodies. Then, when we get our resurrected bodies, they can say, we can become brand new. I had the privilege of living in Newark for 13 years. One thing that always upsets me, and it still does, I would see people with eating pizza on that little white plate. And they're eating it right in front of everybody and drop it. Or the coleslaw. And just drop the fork in that little thing they put in. And I went nuts. I said, this is my earth. And what Pope Francis is trying to tell us today too, I said, this is my earth. Don't kill my earth. You know? I don't want to walk along and stepping in everything else. And even some of the things I saw when I was in St. Antoninus, that they couldn't go in the house, so they just dropped whatever outside. And every time I cleaned up the side of my house, it was all back the next day. It was all back. I'm like, oh my heavens. So, what is all creation doing right now? It's groaning. Oh, the old Pentecostals call this towering in the Lord. Oh, I'm going to tarry in the Lord. Oh. And what does it say there? So if you underline verse 20, for the creation was subjected to futility, not of its own will, but by the will of him who subjected in hope. So what's that? You can't have hope if everything is going okay the way you want it. What does hope mean? It means there's something in opposition to me. And I believe it's going to be conquered. If you didn't have the spirit in you of God winning, there's going to be a conquering joy, guess what happened? You don't be depressed right now. What's the hope? The hope is the ability to get through everything you're going through because you see where you're going, and it's much better than it's here. So what is creation doing right now? It's groaning. And what are they waiting for? For you and me to be redeemed. Are you redeemed people now? Yes. Are you fully redeemed? No. Because you got to get a brand new body. You got to go to heaven. You got to sing in his praises. So guess what? You're all redeemed people here. Amen? But you're not fully redeemed. There's more to go. I always use the example because you all know the name, St. Francis of Assisi. He died at the age of 46. And in many ways, I could scream at St. Francis. He really, through his own admission, mistreated his body. He died, by the way, of bone cancer, if you really want to know the real reason he died. But he didn't have to die that young. He had more years, but he so mistreated his body. You know, throwing it down, throwing it into sticker bushes and everything else. I mean, beating it and everything else. So it died prematurely. And I think another problem, the reason why there's problems in Greece, do you know the retirement age in Greece is 48? What are you going to do after 48? Wear black for the rest of your life? You know, can you imagine you and I retiring at 48? What would you do? Go fishing or sit with a bone up on our back porch drinking iced tea with lemons? I mean, there's a little more of that. So look at the next verse 21. Because the creation itself will be set free from the bondage of decay. How many know we're in decay mode? And obtain the glorious liberty of the children of God. So all creation wants us to be free. So because who's poisoning it up? We are. Look at verse 22. We know that the whole creation has been groaning in travail until now. So when Jesus comes to die on the cross and save us, everybody gets excited. In verse 23, and we, not only creation, but we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit. What's the first fruits of the Spirit? It's the promise of God that He's going to fully redeem you and set you free and give you a brand new body, give you a sharpened intellect, and that the incorruptibility takes over the corruptibility and the lies. Aren't you excited? Do you see what's going to happen to us? All right, back with me to Corinthians. Do you see the understanding of doxa? Everybody see the understanding of doxa? So everything has got to do what? Now Jesus said these words to us. Look at the flowers, how they spin. Look at the birds of the air. They were giving God glory. Did you ever talk to a robin in the morning? Do the robins ever say to you, you know what, I think there's going to be a worm shortage this year? They don't say that. They don't have to worry. But you and I do. How can robins not worry and you and I do? Isaiah chapter 1 verse 1 and 2 says, the dog, the animal knows its master's voice, but we don't know our master's voice. Because we're all upset and worried because we're living in the sarks. We're not living in the pneuma. We're not living in, and then we can't hear the Holy Spirit. We have a discipleship group, and a great number of ladies are coming, 30, 40, 50 women are coming every week, and we're just teaching them how to pray. They're like, wow, I never knew we could pray like this. This is fun praying. And one lady told me, as I'm going out to the car, that's just, I like praying like that. So keep going, keep going, keep going. So back with me to 1 Corinthians 15. There are celestial bodies, verse 40, there's terrestrial bodies, but the glory of the celestial is one, the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, another glory of the moon, another glory of the stars, for stars differ from star in glory. So even all the stars, they all have different glories. What does the sense of glory mean again? It means they reflect God. So what are you going to see when you go to heaven one day? Are we all going to look the same? In fact, are we all going to be redeemed by Jesus? Yeah. Are we all going to have the same heaven? No. No.
Will there be different levels?
Yes. There will be people here. You think you'll be on the same level with your husband?
I don't know.
You think you'll be on the same level with your husband? Do you think you'll be on the same level with your husband? No, he's going to be higher than you? Oh, he's going to be up. Okay, that's good. But we're all going to be in different levels.
Mother Teresa and I will not be on the same level.
Maybe, maybe. We don't have a Richter scale, but you know. Okay, we got to put you on a Richter scale with Mother Teresa now. We don't know. Okay.
So many different levels. There's a different level for angels too.
Yeah. No, the angels are. Yeah. There are 9 choirs of angels. So what's going to happen when we go to heaven? When you go to heaven, you're going to see such a variety of beauty. And remember. Did I say remember yet? Remember, when you go to heaven, you're going to say, how come I'm not up there? How come I'm not on that level? This is what you put into your life. This is the seed that you put into the ground. And this is how you fed it. Can I recommend something for everyone here? Live a deeper spiritual life. When I had a cup of cappuccino with you in heaven, he said, you were right. Live deeper for the Lord. You know why St. Paul was a powerhouse? You know why there's no one like St. Paul? And a St. Augustine? You ever heard of St. Augustine?
Yes.
Because when they got converted to God, it was 24/7. 365, 366 leap year. Now, I got to confess something to me. There are people who want me to, and they even suggested, turn it down. In other words, don't preach too much, or don't talk about Jesus too much. And I said, no, I'm turning it up. And you know what they say? Oh, no. The great Fulton Sheen said that if I had to do all over again, I talk more about Jesus. And you know what? I want to be full-time for Jesus. Because I want to go as close as I can. I want front row and orchestra. If you guys like the back row of church, fine. Not me. I like the front row. Do you know every time I go to church, I always get the front row?
I do too.
There are times when we can't celebrate that there's not enough room around the altar. Then they're going to take their first bench. I go, oh darn, I'm at the front row. I want to be up there. When I go to Broadway, I'll spend extra money. I want some good seats. Not the nosebleed in the back where my knees are in my chin. Okay, do you see this? Do you see what's happening? Do you see what doxa means now? You see all the different levels? So when we go there, we're just going to say, wow, look at those planets. And I start by saying, next Wednesday we're going to get pictures from Pluto. So check your internet and see what Pluto looks like.
But the sun won't shine on the moon. Will the stars? Will we see stars?
There's going to be Avon. Is your name Avon? Avon? If you read Revelation 21.
Jesus is the light.
No, Revelation 20, yeah, of course it is, yes. Revelation 21 says there's a new heaven and a new earth. So what are we going to see when you go to heaven? When you go to heaven, the light will be all Jesus, Revelation 21. But when we all go to heaven, we get all brand new bodies. And this is what the Jehovah's Witnesses put in those little plastic books of theirs with the plastic faces. They try to give you on Saturday morning when you're washing your car or you're just out for or whatever. They give you these little plastic books. And they always have people smiling in this new heaven and new earth. And so that's Revelation 21. So there's going to be a new heaven and new earth. So what are you going to see when you go to heaven?
But it says the city had no need of sun or moon to shine on it.
It had no need of it.
But there will still be one.
But yes, there'll be the glory of Jesus is the light. So when you're in your room, listen to CDs and Jesus is walking through in the power of the Spirit, and your mood is definitely changed by then. And and you can see the body. You can see these heavenly bodies because there's a new heaven and a new earth, a new heaven and a new earth, a new heaven and a new earth. Isaiah 65 says, "Behold, I make all things new." You gotta get that. You gotta get that. I make all things new. So when we go to heaven, the light of all is Jesus. Everything is Jesus. And the light that will permeate your soul now and then is Jesus. And guess what? We're going to see all these different bodies and all the different doxa just flowing through them and go, wow. And you know what you're going to say? It's so beautiful. And then after a million years, you're on one side of heaven, you go over to the other side of heaven, you're going to say, wow, it's even better than the other side. And then when you go to your 3 millionth side of heaven, you go, and that's doxa. That's the doxa that's coming. So that's why, you see, when you study the resurrection like this, and this is the longest time I ever spent on the resurrection, is guess what? It's going to be so magnificent. When it's your time, if you should die before the great second coming of Jesus, you don't want to come back. I've been in presences, you know, I'll never forget Mrs. Caulfield in Roy. She came to a Bible study and she's about 78 years old. And I always called her Mrs. Caulfield. And she always said, Father Bill, call me Elizabeth. I said, I can't. You are definitely Mrs. Caulfield. And I was rushed to Roy Hospital. And my Mrs. Caulfield had a heart attack. I said, not my Mrs. Caulfield. And I came up to her bed. And Father Bill, I said, yes, Mrs. Caulfield, are you okay? I need you. Don't you go on me. And she said, Father Bill. I said, yes, Mrs. Caulfield. I saw heaven. She said, do you believe me? I said, yes. She said, it's magnificent. She said, I'm not afraid. I want to go. I want to go. Shortly after that, a couple days after that, she died. She died.
Fall asleep.
She fell asleep in the Lord. We don't say die right. Good for you. You get a nail right. Your mother no. She fell asleep in our Mrs. Coffee, and she described exactly what I've been preaching my whole life. I want to be there. So I was talking to that 16-year-old kid today. I says, "Mother, are you afraid to die?" I said, "Right now, no. I've been going to the doctor because people say, go to the doctor, go to the doctor." And I said, "Doctor, am I going to live?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." And then when I went out into the waiting room, and Henry took me, and Brother Henry, and I said very loud because I know people were out there waiting, "Henry, I only got 3 weeks left." This is what people would say. But this is magnificent, isn't it? And if you know these things when the time comes, or one of your beloveds die, you won't be as sad. Okay. So, do you see all the different things? Good stuff? We got about 5 more minutes and then you finish. Okay, we will continue. Verse 42. So it is with the resurrection of the dead. Okay, now, remember, are we all going to resurrect?
Yes.
Is everybody out there going to resurrect it? Yes. Now look at verse number 42. What is sown perishable, what is raised imperishable. So are we all perishable? Yes. We're all going to die. But God, in the power of the resurrection, is going to raise it up imperishable. Amen? It is sown in dishonor. Because, why is it sown in dishonor? Because we get sick. If you look like a prune when you're 95, you don't want to look like that. My mother's 90, heading toward 92, and when I see her hands like this, I don't want to see the hands like that. I don't want to see her barely able to walk. Sometimes I just can't get up. The older I get, I told one lady today, "Would you count to 3? When you're done with 3, I'll get up out of the chair." As I get older, it is sown in weakness. It is raised in what? Power. Yeah. Dunamis. So what's going to happen?
Will we look the same?
You look great now. You're going to look a whole lot better. I've been telling the kids all week. I always say, turn to the person next to you. Say, "You're amazing." And I always say, and you should hear that 150 kids, "You're amazing." We're going to look as Jesus rose from the dead. That full power. I don't mean, ladies, you're going to have a beard. But you're going to be you and the magnificent beauty of who you are. Just think of Cinderella. I mean, you're going to really look good with your Prince Charming, the Lord Jesus Christ. You are going to be magnificent. So what's sown in corruption will be raised in power. What's brought down is going to be raised up. Look at verse 43. It's raised in glory. You see the circle word glory? There's the doxa again. There's the doxa. Now, what's a doxa? Ready? This is so good. Isn't this good stuff? Oh, there's the word doxa. Do you always say? A doxa is through him, with him, in him. That's the doxology. Did you ever go to Mass before? Through him, with him, in the unity of the Holy. And what do we stand up? Amen. You know what I want to do in Christian life? They don't get it. You have the glory of God and you're going to get like Amen? Then he says there, it is sown in weakness, is raised in power, verse 44. It is sown in a physical body, it is raised in a spiritual body. Underline it right there. You get a spiritual body. Right there. Remember we're giving you all the things that we were telling you. All get spiritual bodies. What does that mean? Did you ever have a good spiritual day? How many have a day in the Lord that you were really flying high with the Lord? Anybody have one of those beautiful moments?
Yeah.
And how many know that for all of us, it disappeared, didn't it? guess what? We're all going to have. Those moments are never going away. They're never going away. And I'm not going to be, because I have a spiritual body, again, put a little note there. I'm never going to be limited. You can have a door to my room, but guess what? You don't have to ring the doorbell. So when I go visit Alone, I'll say, hello, Alone. Please change your name, Alone.
I'll be by that.
And then, guess what happens when I visit Alone?
Come in.
She might have flowers on her window and everything else, and you walk through. Now, it's been purported that people who have visions of heaven, they say the blue is really blue, the green is unbelievably green, and they see the flowers are magnificent. And in their spiritual bodies, they walk, and so as they're walking through their feet, they can see the flowers. So when we're walking in a field of flowers, we just walk through the flowers, and the flowers go through us, so to speak, because we have spiritual bodies. That's what you're heading for. That's our redemption. This is a magnificent picture of heaven. This is a magnificent picture of the glory of God. And you know what? Every one of us should say one thing, I want to go. And then you should say the next one, how do I get there? Through the Lord Jesus Christ. Through a personal relationship with Jesus, by turning away from sin, by repenting of it. So we underline it there. Very important little phrase that we miss. You have spiritual bodies. And let me tell you something. You've got to get this down. You do not, under any circumstances, if you die a redeemed Christian, and I pray each of us is, you don't want to come back here.
Not in the souls of purgatory, even
No,
suffering.
they don't want to come back. No. So you don't want to. So when and what happens when you're married? What do married people do to me all the time? They do this to me all the time. I want to be with my husband. No. But we've been married 57 years, and that's only on one leg. No. I understand. You want to be with. They don't mention Jesus. Hello. When you go to heaven, do a selfie. Or do a group hug. Do a group hug. Yes, sir.
One of my favorite scripture verses, that 1 Corinthians 2:9. What no eye has seen nor ear heard, nor the human heart conceived, what God has prepared for those who love Him.
And now here's an interesting note about that. If you stay in the context, it's not about heaven. It's about right now. If you study the context of 1 Corinthians 2, a lot of people make that mistake and quote it. I don't correct them. And I think you're right, yes, heaven is way beyond what we can imagine. But it's right now. And guess what? Most of us will live and die without knowing that. I want Mass and you're going, let's get it over with. I don't get it.
But they don't even get what the Mass is about.
They don't. We're going to pick up next week. Our time's up. Good stuff. Is there anything new? Vale la pena? Was it worth it?
They call me.
All right. Next week is a piece for Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
I went to one of the novenas yesterday. Monster.
Father, we just thank you, and we thank all the people that are listening all over the world. And we ask that everyone be heaven ready through a living relationship with Yeshua. Bless this word, Lord. Get us excited for the days that come. Lord, I pray there are good days for everybody, and there might be harrowing days, but may we not be drawn away from you, and may we be lifted high. In Jesus' name, amen. In the Father, Son, and the Spirit, amen.